So
So
yeah.
let's talk about you. So where did you grow up?
Yeah.
And,
Born and raised in the Bronx, New York,
okay.
to Puerto Rican parents. Both of my
Nice.
parents are from Puerto Rico.
Okay. So you
Um,
speak Spanish or?
yeah, fluently, puedo hablar español sin problema, fluently.
Yeah.
Grew up there in New York, went to school there, went to high school, college. I'm a New Yorker, right? You can tell from my accent, right? Started there, and then I really got into law enforcement at 21 years old.
Okay.
Made a
Why'd you become a police officer? What made you do that?
This is gonna sound horrible, but because of my mom.
Okay.
My mom is my role model.
Okay.
There was a time in my life where I was not very focused. I
Yeah.
wanted to do other things,
Yeah.
and she kind of saw my life was heading in the direction she didn't want it to go into. So
Yeah.
she sat down with me. She said, "Look, I love you. We need to find you a career." And this was at the time frame that it was a couple of years after 9/11.
Okay.
So what happened was that the New York City Police Department was refilling,
Okay.
right? They were backfilling their ranks because we lost a lot of police officers to 9/11 related diseases and retirements.
Right.
And as a result of that, there was a large openings in the department. So she said, "Look, give it 6 months." I didn't want to be a cop. She said, "Give it 6 months
Uh-huh.
and we'll make the deal. If in 6 months it doesn't work for you, we'll find you something else."
Okay.
And I fell in love with it because I get to solve problems daily on a
Did you
daily.
do that after going to college, or did you do that? What'd you do when you were 18?
I left college early.
Okay.
So I was going through halfway through college. I was not doing well in college at the time.
Yeah. Where'd you go to college?
I was going to Lehman College in the Bronx, and then I eventually graduated from John Jay College
Okay. Yeah.
for criminal justice.
Yeah.
And
So you're going to college. It's like you're gonna do something else.
yeah, I was not into my studies. I was barely going to class. I was not doing what I was supposed to. But the thing was that I actually had a year before that, I had a short stint with the New York City Housing Authority
Yeah.
in the New York City. And my job was emergency services. So I was 19, 18, and I was basically answering your problems when the regular shift was out. So if you had a flood
Yeah.
at 2 in the morning, I was
Yeah.
18 years old and I had to sit there and help out to fill out the flood. But it was such a virtuous job that I
Yeah.
fell in love with that aspect
Okay.
to it, where my job was to solve your problems and to help people at any time of the day.
Yeah.
And so I always had that in the back of my head, like, this is the type of way I want to live my life and the job that I want to follow through.
Right.
So
Service, like a
service.
Yeah.
Yeah. My entire family, my mother was former deputy mayor in New York. My father was a public school teacher. He was a Vietnam veteran. He became an assistant principal, jazz musician. So it was a lot of like
Cool.
service and creativity growing up. I used to wake
Yeah.
up. My father's used to play Latin jazz concerts every day in my house, right? So creativity and civil service and technology has all kind of been in my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you became a police officer, 6 months, but you stuck it through.
Yeah. And I loved it. I did it for 13 years.
What was the roles as a police officer?
Yeah, I had a lot of them. I did a lot of patrol, which is basically just answering the radio, right? That's what you do. But I was working in Washington Heights.
Huh?
And in Washington Heights, we were #1 in the city at numerous times for the most what's called radio runs, which is the amount of time people call 911.
Okay.
So I think my record one day was like 150, 160 jobs in an 8-hour span,
Oh man.
right? So you learn discipline at an early age, but you also learn how to manage such large influx of people in very high stressful situations. So here I am, 21 years old with a gun in my hip, trying to figure out my life, right? Helping other people out. So I learned a lot from it.
That's great. What did you learn? Like, what did you learn?
I learned that when you meet people, you have to just speak to them on a more human level, because at the end of the day, and I've applied that to business later on in my life, where business is, you're dealing with people every day. Yes, there's interactions and money and technology and all that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a person-to-person conversation.
Yeah.
So how do you cut through all of that and just meet with the person first?
Yeah.
Right. And I did that for such a long time in a very emergency, stressful situation, that doing this now in business is pretty easy to me because, nobody's going to punch me in the face. It's a different environment. So
You had to write police reports and kind of.
yeah, I did patrol, where it was basically, we were answering everything from domestic violence calls to car accidents to shootings to burglary. And then I got into various units throughout the precinct. For a long stint, I was part of the burglary team, where we had to investigate every single burglary in Washington Heights. It was on us.
Yeah.
And so I did that for some time. I worked with what's called a conditions team that basically at that time when marijuana was illegal,
Yeah.
we were the ones that would go and, deal with the drug dealers and clean up the streets and all that type
Right.
of stuff. So we did that for a long time too. So I had various roles. I worked in the housing section of Washington Heights as well, where A good example is that we used to have what's called the Rucker basketball games, right?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
a big deal in New York. We had Kobe Bryant was at the courts that I worked at, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we had to deal with also a small team of 4 to 6 people, and we had 3,000 people at these games. And how do you just manage that chaos?
So you learn to talk to people on the human level.
Very
Even though
much
you've
so.
got a uniform, people looking
Yeah,
up to you, that,
yeah,
and you've carried that through to law.
yeah, yeah, definitely so. And I think it helped me a lot because I also grew up not far from there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was not something foreign to me. It was, I understand you because I'm
Yeah.
from, like, we may be related, I understand your partner well too, right? So that's also another layer to policing. But then it helped me to just carry that through because now I talk to business owners every day
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I want to just understand. I always kind of start every conversation with, well, tell me about your business.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with law. It's just, tell me about your
Yeah,
business.
get to
Where
know.
get to know you. Where are we going? What are you doing? And then that could kind of help me figure out as we have the conversation, well, this is what you want to protect now, and this is what you want to protect in the future.
Right.
Protect your brand with Trademarkia. Register your trademark on trademarkia.com.